Very good morning, dear friends. I'm very happy to greet you virtually at this moment. This is our third engagement. In the last couple of classes, I talked about certain basic things about your course of work, how you are going to complete your MA Part 1, doing paper number 3, that is Introduction to Modern Linguistics. Prior to that, I had taken a brief review of all those things, of all those concepts, of all those aspects of language that you have studied in BA Part 3. I did make a review of language. I did make a review of phonetics and phonology, morphology, syntax, and particularly in the last class, I just concentrated on our work. I talked about that this paper number 3 is going to be quite interesting to you because in this paper we're going to learn more no detail, not in detail, but in a very fundamental manner. We're going to learn about modern linguistics. I told you that it is going to be just an introduction. It is going to be a fundamental understanding about modern linguistics. And in this semester number one, you will be prescribed 4 units. Unit number 1, in which we're going to undertake the brief understanding about the world of linguistics. After that, we'll be dealing with semantics. After that, we'll be dealing with pragmatics, right? So these are the 3 modules. Along with there are sub no, modules. The first module is going to be linguistics. Second is going to be the what you call the basic terminology of linguistics. The third module is going to be semantics, and the fourth module is going to be pragmatics. So, in this context, I would say that modern linguistics is going to be an interesting study for you because for the first time, you are going to be exposed to some more different aspects and branches of linguistics. In the last class, I told you that linguistics attempts the study of language in a systematic way. I explained to you what is meant by a systematic study. I did talk about what is meant by a language, and we said or we understood that language is something that is a composition of so many things. It is composed of sounds, composed of words, composed of structures, composed of meaning, composed of communication. So all of these attributes of language, they are taken into the fabric of linguistics, and it has given birth to different sub branches of linguistics. The first being the phonetics. Phonetics is a branch of linguistics that deals with the study of sounds in its 3 dimensions. The first, that is production, transmission, and reception. Phonology is altogether different discipline from phonetics in the sense that it does not deal with the production, but it deals with how the sounds are organized, how the phonemes are organized in order to make the meaningful utterances, how those 44 phonemes in English, 24 consonants, 12 vowels, and 8 diphthongs are organized. What are the organizational rules that are there or that are prescribed by phoneticians that make our utterances meaningful? So phonetics and phonology deal with the study of sounds, but the dealings of sounds is different. We understood that a systematic study. What is meant by a systematic study? A systematic study is the study that involves a procedure, that involves a system, that involves a protocol, that involves a discipline. So when a matter is undertaken to study, applying a systematic way of observation, building hypothesis, analysis, experimentation, and drawing conclusion. I have given you the example of Isaac Newton, how Isaac Newton had proposed the theory of gravitational force. And very systematically, I told you that he, in the initial way, he observed the matter, he observed the fruit falling down, then he built a hypothesis by saying that there must be something that make the particular fruit fall down. He didn't know initially, but he felt that there is something. There is something in the crust of earth. There is something concerned with the tree. There is something concerned with the outer atmosphere. There is something that concerned with the environment. So he didn't know what was that. But later on, after putting his 28 years of curious study, he came forward and proposed the theory and said that it is the gravitational force which exists in the crust of earth that attracts the objects towards itself from a particular, I can say, distance in the outer atmosphere. So he had applied a system, he had applied a discipline. First, he was curious, he was observant, he observed. Second, he thought for a while. Then he built a hypothesis. Then he analyzed. He analyzed for about 28 years, right? So after analysis or analyzing the matter for about 28 years, he concluded. Finally, it is a conclusion. So conclusion is the last step that a scientist derives after putting a systematic application, after putting a systematic procedure like observation, making hypothesis or building hypothesis, analysis, experimentation, and conclusion. So the first step in a scientific or a systematic study hypothesis, that is followed by analysis, that is followed by experimentation, and finally we have the conclusion. So after putting his 28 years, Isaac Newton made a conclusion that it is the gravitational force that exists in the crust of earth that attracts the object toward itself. So, in this context, I would say that it is a systematic study, and how the language is studied systematically means the language study in the name of linguistics is the study of all the composite parts of language. It means that it is a study of sounds, it is a systematic study of sounds, it is a systematic study of words, it is a systematic study of structures, it is a systematic study of meaning, it is a systematic study of process of communication. So these are the attributes. When we think about garden, garden is an abstraction, correct? Forest is an abstraction. What does forest comprise of? Is the trees and trees and trees and trees and trees of various kinds, of various sizes that make up the cluster that we identify it as a forest. Like garden. Garden, we say that is full of, we can say, flowers and flowers and flowers and flowers of different colors, different sizes, and different fragrance, is what we call the garden. Likewise, language is something, is an abstraction. In the last class, I told you the distinction of that exists between the concrete and the abstract. So concrete form or the concrete thing or the concrete matter is something that has a physical reality, that is visible. You can touch it, you can observe it, you can see it, you can touch it, you can feel it. But there are some notions that exist not in the physical reality. They do not have a physical reality, but they exist in the form of an idea. They exist in the form of ideology. They exist in the form of notions, ideological notion. And language is an abstraction. So that abstraction, just a minute, अक्षता काय चाललंय लेक्चर आहे माझं लेक्चर चालू नंतर बोलतो. Yes. Now, when we are going to undertake some the study of language, there are some misconceptions that are considered in the study of language. Why do we need to study language? There are some myths, there are some misconceptions. We say that people say that language is only a means of communication. Is it? Is it only a means of communication? No doubt. It is a powerful way of or powerful tool of communication. It is a powerful mode of communication, but it is not the only means of communication. There are different forms. There are different forms of communication. Painting is also a form of communication. Singing is also a form of communication, right? Non-verbal form is also a form of communication. Body, the entire body, the human body is also a medium of communication. But language, as people falsely consider that language is the only means of communication, it is a misconception that people consider, for which we need to take the study of language systematically. The second thing, that people have the wrong notion about language, what we call the myth, that the language has a form meaning corresponding. I told you in the last class that language gets manifested in two ways. Either we speak or write, correct? So when we speak, we produce sounds. When we speak, we articulate sounds. When we speak, we organize sounds. And all the sounds that we articulate, they have their corresponding meaning, right? Means all these are the signs. These are the phonetic signs which are used to indicate, to refer to the sound, the meaning that are there in your mind, in your memory. The function of language is to exchange information only. No doubt, it is not only the exchange of information. Through language, we express our feelings, we express our desire, we express our different core of our personality. We express our points of view, we express our attitude, and it is the language through which the person gets reflected. That's why in Marathi there is a saying, there is a proverb. आपण नेहमी असं म्हणतो की जेव्हा एखाद्या व्यक्तीबरोबर बोलायला तोंड उघडतो, त्या व्यक्तीच्या बोलण्याच्या पद्धतीवरून त्या व्यक्तीची एकंदर कॅरेक्टर आपल्याला कळतं. Means we can know the character of the person just by, yes, somebody who is raising the hand. Yes, you want to speak something? Somebody has raised a hand. One, I don't know the name. I'm not getting the name. Yes, who is there? You can speak. You can unmute yourself and speak. Somebody has raised a hand. You can ask me a question after the class because we have just limited time. We need to complete maximum things, in these 40 minutes, 40 to 45 minutes. And so if you got any doubts, any question to ask, you can do it later. You can directly call me up. I have already given you my number, correct? Okay, continue with this word. Why do we need to study language? Because there are some misconceptions that people have in their mind. They consider that language is only a means of communication. They consider that language has a form, meaning, correspondence. They consider that the function of language is to exchange information only. No, it is not the only function of language. No, language serves many purposes. Language serves many functions in our day-to-day life. Not only we exchange information, but we exchange our ideas, we exchange our thoughts, we exchange our desires, we exchange our points of view, we exchange our attitudes. And not only that, the entire personality of the person gets reflected through this language. And that's why language is a very, very important phenomenon. Another misconception that people have in their mind, that English is more difficult to learn than Chinese. There are around 16,000 languages in the world which are being spoken and written. Means all these 16,000 languages of the world, they are reported to have their formal setup of speech and writing. Among all these 1600 languages, right? People say that this language is difficult to learn, this language is easy to learn. It is not like that. If the person or if the child from the very early time is exposed to any language, the child acquires that language. Let me give an example, right? An Indian or a graduate who completes his education in India in engineering or pharmacy or whatever, and if he gets an opportunity to go to abroad, to foreign countries, accordingly, he goes there, he settles there, and he marries that particular girl from that particular state or for that particular nation. And then he starts living there, and he conceives of children. And the children living there, the children of this particular gentleman, who happened to be Indian, but who has left India and settled in the foreign land, gets married to a woman of that particular nation. When he conceives a child, the child acquires the language that is spoken at home. So it is not that English is difficult, Sanskrit is difficult, Latin is difficult to learn, French is difficult to learn, Chinese is difficult to learn. It is not like that. These are just the misconceptions people have in their mind. One more myth and falsification that is considered, that black English is not standard. No, we say that standard language. What is meant by a standard language? When we are going to attempt the study of social linguistics, we are going to undertake the thorough study of the standard language. But among all these languages, you know, that are being spoken in the world, that are being spoken in India, that are being spoken in Maharashtra, all of these languages, they are just the labels. Language, language doesn't exist as one. These are just the label. English is one, right? Ideologically, it is a language. Marathi as an ideological notion is one. But when we look at the people speaking Marathi, we find that English has so many different varieties. Marathi has so many different varieties. Hindi has so many different varieties. Let me give an example that English is something that is being spoken in almost all the corners of the world, right? Indians speak English, Pakistanis speak English, French speak English, Germans speak English, Taliban or Afghanistani people speak English. No, Germans speak English, Japanese speak English, Chinese speak English, but their speaking of English is different. And that speech habits of English done by these people belonging to different nation gives birth to a variety. So we have not one English, we have Englishes. Likewise, we do not have one Marathi in Maharashtra, we have different varieties of Marathi. We have Puneri Marathi is a variety. So among all these languages or varieties of languages, we have one which has acquired a status of prestige, a standard language. So we say that people say that Black English is not standard and should be reformed. So these are some of the misconceptions that people have in their mind. Another misconception that people have in their mind, that children learn the native language swiftly, efficiently, and without instruction. No. The children, prior going to the school, the children are exposed to the sound patterns spoken by the fellow members in the family. The immediate model, the social linguistic model for a child is the mother and the father and the people living in that family. So prior going to the school, the child or the children acquire the sound patterns. It requires a system, it requires a procedure. You remember your school days. You acquire the language, you acquire the speech prior going to. So please, please. Akra, please. Yes. So children learn their native language swiftly, efficiently, and without instruction. Another misconception that people have in their mind regarding this language, that language is operated by rules. No doubt, language is operated by the prescriptive rules. The grammarians have devised the rules, and these grammarians, in their grammar books, they have given us certain rules, how to speak, how to pronounce, how to write, how to construct a sentence, how to construct a phrase, how to construct a clause, how to make the sentence meaningful, what structure that is to be maintained, what is the syntactic position of subject, what is the syntactic position of predicator, what is the syntactic position of adverbial, object, etc., etc. So all languages have three major components, whether it is Marathi, Hindi, English, Latin, German, French, Japanese, all these languages of the world, they have the three major or important components. Every language has a sound system. It has a system of lexicogrammar and a system of semantics. Was that a language, whether it is Marathi or English or Japanese or German, all these languages, they have their set of sounds. English has a set of 44 sounds. Marathi has a set of 36 sounds. Hindi has a set of 38 sounds. So every language has a sound system. Every language has a system of lexicogrammar. Every language, no, it has a grammatical rules. It has a prescriptive rules, and these rules tell the speakers or the writers how that language to be spoken or written. A system of lexicographer. And finally, we have a system of semantics. Means the grammarians, the semanticians, they have taken efforts in creating or writing the books through which they tell the speaker or the writers of the language how the words are to be meant. What is the meaning of a particular word? We have a dictionary, right? We have dictionary of different languages. We have dictionary of Marathi language. We have a dictionary of Hindi language. We have a dictionary. N number of dictionaries are there in the world, right? So in case of English, we have a standard accepted. Standard means accepted. Standard not something that we measure in terms of pricing, this and that. No, it is the prestige, it is the respect that the book gets or dictionary gets by all people of the world. Is the standard dictionary of English, advanced learners dictionary of English. And in that dictionary, we find, what do we find in the dictionary? We find the entries of words. What do we get in the dictionary? We get the understanding or the information about the meaning of that particular given word, the pronunciation, the usage. So every language has three systems operative. The first being a sound system, lexicographer, and a system of semantics. One more myth is there that everyone speaks a dialect. Dialect is a variety of language. Just a moment ago, I told you that languages that we all know, they are just the labels. Marathi is the label. What exists in reality are the varieties of Marathi. English is just a label, an ideological label that we have in our mind. But in reality, we have a different varieties of English. Hindi, for example, is just a label, is an ideological notion that exists in our mind. But in reality, we have different varieties of Hindi. The best site for us to observe these varieties of Hindi, the best site, the best place is our parliament, the Indian parliament, the Lok Sabha, right? The lower house. Because lower house has the representation of the people from all the different corners of this country. And when there is a session, right, a monsoon session, a winter session, or any of the sessions, you find all these representatives, elected representatives, come there in the house and they participate in the discussions. And then immediately you can make out a person from Bihar, right? For example, Lalu Prasad Yadav, when he stands and speaks Hindi, he has his own way. We say that he is Bihari because he has a different way of speaking Hindi. It's an accent. UP, a person from UP has his accent. A person from Kashmir, he has his own accent. Accent means the way the language is spoken. We say British English accent, English accent, American accent, French accent, Hindi accent, Maharashtrian accent. The way I, as a Maharashtrian, when I to speak Marathi, I have my own way of speaking Marathi. So it is my accent. Accent means the way the language is spoken. And dialect means is a variety of the language. The variety as per the user. Every speaker is different. Correct? And this is one of the beauties of this world, beauties of this existence. Nature doesn't allow similarities. Nature doesn't allow alikeness. Life is beautiful because it's full of variety. So we have different people living in this world, living in this society, and everyone is unique. Everyone has his or her way of doing, his or her way of acting, his or her way of performing, his or her way of any of the things. So everyone in the society is unique. And when a person to speak the language, he or she has her own way. And that gives birth to a variety. And that is called a dialect. And finally, there is a misconception that language slowly changes. In one of the characteristics, I have told you that language is always in a state of flux. It goes on changing. When you look at English language of 16th century, got changed, radically changed in the 17th century, got changed in the 18th century, got changed in the 19th century, got changed in 21st century. The way William Shakespeare, the greatest dramatist of the world, has written that or those dramas, he had that contemporary English, Shakespearean English, those words, those phraseologies, those meanings of the words, then understood, they are no more. Because over the period of time, people change, things change, society changes, demand changes. And here, in this context, language changes periodically. It is dynamic. It is not stagnant like a stick to word. It flows like a river. When you look at the stream of water, when you find a river, it doesn't stop at one point. No, it simply flows and flows and flows. Wherever it gets the conducive direction, it simply goes on flowing and flowing and flowing. Likewise, this language flows. As long as this particular language goes on changing, the words of the words of get changed, the structures get changed, meanings of words get changed. There was a time, let me give an example. In the 80s and 90s, the word sexy was considered as blasphemy, as considered obscene, was considered as sinful. But now, if you look at the communication that take place in the social media, you find that the word has acquired the status. Earlier, people used to think 100 times before uttering the word sexy, sex. But now it has become a common now because the condition got changed, the time got changed, the society got changed, the mentality of people got changed. So the point I'm trying to bring out here is that in the course of the time, the things change. In the course of the times, the society changes. In the course of the time, the demands changing. And because of which the language is no exception to it. Language also gets changed. New words are being replaced. The old words are obsolete. The words which are not being in use, they get discarded from the dictionary. And that's why you find that every year all the dictionaries get updated. म्हणजे जगातील प्रत्येक डिक्शनरी कुठल्याही भाषेची असेल ती दरवर्षी ती अपडेट केली जाते. म्हणजे काय हो, अपडेट करण्याची गरज काय भासते? म्हणजे त्या भाषेमधील जे शब्द आहेत ते जे प्रचलित नाहीत, हे जे डिक्शनरीमध्ये आहेत ते काढून टाकलं जातं. द वर्ड्स विच आर नॉट इन करन्सी, द वर्ड्स विच आर नॉट बिंग यूज, they are discarded, and in place of those, new words get in entry in that particular dictionary. So these are some of the misconceptions that make us think about the study of language, and that's why linguistics concentrates on falsifying all these myths of this language. Okay, we move on to the next slide. What is language? In the last class, I told you, or even in BA Part 3, when you were introduced to the first module, you had learned that definitions of language. And there have been different definitions given by scholars, philosophers. No? Plato has defined language. Aristotle has defined the language. So all these people in their own respective ways, they try to define language. But one of the important things that we need to understand, कौन है रे बाबा, कौन का हाथ वर्ती करता है? Who is that? Who is just raising the hands? You're not getting, I'm not getting your name as well. If you want to ask anything, you can put a question later on. So one of the things that we need to understand here, that since the evolution of human life, language has been an affair. it has been a reality. We cannot define the time and say that language began from this. There are 2 points of view. One is the scriptural point of view. Scriptures, the holy books, the holy religious books. And they ordain, they prescribe that how this world came into existence, how the human beings came into existence, how this language came into existence. And all these scriptures of the world, मग शिवपुराण असेल, बायबल असेल, कुराण असेल, हे सर्व धर्मग्रंथ आपापल्या पद्धतीने ते सांगतात की बाबा हे विश्वाची निर्मिती कशी झाली. And all of these scriptures in their own respective ways, they say that this world is created by God. God has created. He created this world. He created man and woman. He created the animals. He created the sky. He created the stars. He created the flowers, the trees, the flora, fauna, garden, ocean. So he created language. It continued. People believed in, because it is the holy book articulated by God. People believed in. People believed in that, yes, it is. Even today, people believe that there is a mysterious thing. There is even a mystery that science cannot give the answer to this question. How? How come? How come? This is the question that science cannot answer. How come? Yasaka. It has an answer. It is the answer. So, what is language? Aristotle says that he has used the term speech for language then in the 3rd century. So he said that speech is the representation of the experience of the human mind. So whatever the experience that I have in my mind, I share. I share through that what we call the speech. So according to Aristotle, speech is the representation. अभिव्यक्ती आहे कशाची? It is a representation of the experience of the human mind. म्हणजे आपला जो मनोव्यापार आहे त्या मनोव्यापाराची अभिव्यक्ती म्हणजे speech. It is what that is being defined by Aristotle in the 3rd century. And there is one more interesting definition which I'm sharing with you. It is articulated by the greatest stalwarts of linguistics, Ferdinand de Saussure. Ferdinand de Saussure. And he said in his polemic book called Course in General Linguistics, की ज्या पुस्तकानं लिंग्विस्टिक्सची पूर्ण दिशा बदलली, कोर्स इन जनरल लिंग्विस्टिक नावाचे पुस्तक की त्यांनी 1916 साली प्रकाशित केलं. So in that particular book, he defines language as that language is not to be confused. Each and every word you have to concentrate. Language is not to be confused with human speech, of which it is only a definite part. काय म्हणतो तो? Language is not to be confused with human speech. Means we are not supposed to consider that language is primarily human speech. No doubt, it is a definite part, though certainly an essential one. It is both a social product. Look at it. It is a social product of the faculty of speech and a collection of necessary conventions that have been adopted by social body to permit individuals to exercise that faculty. It's very interesting. Look, I have already shared this PPT to you through the Google Classroom. You can access to it. So what he says, language is not to be confused with human speech. No doubt, it is a definite part of human beings. It is an essential part regarding human beings. It is both a social product. It is not only an individual notion. It is a social product of the faculty of speech and a collection of necessary conventions that have been adopted by a social body to perform this function. Ferdinand de Saussure, in his course in General Linguistics, 1916. Another important definition, language is purely human. Means it is with the human beings. The language is at his or her disposal for communication. Means language is a human affair. Animals do not have it. Animals do not have language. Do the dogs have language? No. Do the monkeys have language? No. Do the birds have language? No. Do the bees have language? No. But they have their inbuilt system of communication. Dogs have their inbuilt system of communication. Even the smallest creature, the ants also have their inbuilt method of communication. They do not have language. It is only the human beings that have language. So language is purely human. It is non-instinctive. It is not that we are born with. It is not that we are born with. Language is not that we are born with. It is something that we acquire after putting our efforts. So it is a non-instinctive method of communication, of communicating. What do we communicate? We communicate ideas, emotions, desires. How? By means of voluntarily, ऐच्छिक पद्धतीने, voluntarily produced symbols. We produce sounds. Last year you studied phonetic symbols, 44 phonetic symbols. P, P, K, 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 R, R. This is a sound. This is a phoneme. And how do you represent it? You represent those sounds or those phonemes by using the symbol. You call them phonetic symbols. So Edward Sapir, another important linguist of the 20th century, he defines language as language is purely human. It is non-instinctive method of communicating ideas, emotions, and desires. How? By means of voluntarily produced sounds, voluntarily produced symbols. So each and every word that we need to take into consideration, that language is purely human. Language is a human affair. And the inception of language is closely associated with the inception of human life. The human life, as it has been propagated by Charles Darwin in his theory of evolution, that man is not born, right? He is not the child. He is not the child created by God. He is not created by God. He is evolved. He is evolved through the process of evolution. He has gone through many phases of his, you can say, evolution. He is the product of environment. He is the product of nature. He is not created. He has nothing to do with God. He has nothing to do with the heaven, hell. This is what the scriptures say. But Charles Darwin says that man is not created by God. He is evolved. So language is purely human, non-instinctive method of